And go ahead and identify everyone who's in the meeting.
It's recording, so if you want to start doing roll call.
I'm Elaine Hill. I'm the co-chair of the Historic District
I
Board.
found it.
My name is Chris Shack. I'm a co-chair of the Fort Lowell Historic Zone Advisory Board.
Okay, so it looks like Mike's getting a beer. Go ahead, Carol.
Carol Maywood, I'm a member of the board.
And
I'm Mary Lou Nuttall, historic board member.
okay, so that's my agenda. For the two items on the agenda today, because one will be shorter than the other, I'd like to propose that we take 53.
53, 54.
Turn me off. 53, 54, East Fort Lowell first. If that's okay with everyone. Anybody object to that? Let's go ahead and do that. We'll come back to our things on the agenda, if that's okay with everyone.
I'm having trouble
Elaine?
hearing if somebody's speaking.
Yeah, Elaine, we can't hear you. So you need to like either lean in or get right in front of the computer.
You need to turn it.
Okay, I'm in front of the computer. I'm 3 inches away from it. Okay. I'd like to propose that we revise the agenda for tonight. We approve our minutes after we hear the other people that are here to present and present 53, 54 is for a little first.
So to be clear, the two addresses are 5259 East Fort Lowell and 5360 East Fort Lowell.
Okay, 5360 and 5354 are the same, I believe, right? Same address.
Yes, we have it listed as 5360.
Okay.
Same parcel number, but two different addresses for the homes.
So is Paul, are you presenting this?
Yeah, I think so. So with that, I will proceed. So my name is Paul Reimer. I am an architect and I'm working with Aaron and Jill Heater, who are the owners of the parcel. Jill is here. Not sure if Aaron is here.
Yeah,
There he
I'm
is.
here too. Both named Jill.
Oh, I see. Two Jills. All right,
Yep.
yeah, fair enough. Good, good. So some of you may recall that we presented during 2022 before we submitted the permit, and so some of you might remember the project. And the project is we've broken it into two pieces. So there's the first one, which we're looking at tonight, is re-landscaping, mostly closer to the main house, not the entire property, and a new site wall around the yard around the house. And then the second part, which we haven't submitted yet, will be the remodel of the existing guest house, which is the 5360 address. And so I am going to share my screen and go from there. Let's see. Maybe I have to move this. There we go. Perfect. Can you all see the drawings now?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So this is a cover sheet with a rendering on it. I don't want to spend a bunch of time now because I'll finish with a series of additional renderings, which I think will be more helpful than dwelling on this one. So I'll just want to start with the landscape drawings, landscape legend with quite a few plants on them. These were prepared by, as you can see from the logo, by Wheat Design Group. And this is the new plan. I apologize that their plans and my plans are oriented in opposite directions. But in
Yeah,
these plans, on the
noticed that.
landscape plan, north is to your left. South is to the right, of course. And so the main house is here and the existing guest house is here. And so the area in question that's really being re-landscaped is largely the area in front of the house or north of the main house. And within what we'll get to this next, is a new perimeter wall to replace the existing wood perimeter wall in the same location. And so you can see that there's without getting into specific details of the plants just yet, most of these symbols represent low ground cover and shrubs. You can see from the legend that there are only a handful of new trees. All the existing trees are remaining. Most notably, there's an absolutely exquisite mesquite right here, another one here, and then a collection of tamarisk trees that are down this part of the site. And then the addition of new trees this one's a fig, if I remember correctly. I believe this one is a honey mesquite. There's another fig. Right here, right next to the existing mesquite. And then finally, there's a pomegranate here. And so those are the trees that you will be able to see over the wall from the street. Otherwise, most of this ground cover is really just about, within the domesticated environment that's inside the wall. And so, not getting into the lighting too much, that's mostly pathway lighting. Now, switch directions. Now I've got to the architectural side. So north is now to your right, guest house, main house. And what these drawings are showing is these drawings are just really about the perimeter wall. So the new perimeter wall, as I said, replacing the existing wood wall with concrete masonry core with stucco finish that runs more or less from the guest house up to the access easement, and then runs north-south all the way to the back of the lot, and then along the back of the house. The east side is not being reconstructed. The existing Ocotillo fence, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron and Jill, the existing Ocotillo fence is to remain
Correct.
location. And so these drawings just talk about that wall, and then a little bit about there's some new brick paving right at the entry gates, and a brick sort of surround at the entrance to what will be the remodeled guest house once we get there. And so part of the design for the wall is not just the wall, but the gates themselves, which would be new and are designed to be complementary with the existing main house. I'll get into that later, but you can see here from the street elevation, which is this top drawing, that the vast majority of the wall height is a nominal 6 feet. That's the height of the masonry. Since they're stuccoed, it will be slightly taller than that. But there is, just to begin to fit into the existing site walls that are to remain, like the one in front of the guest house and the ones in front of the main house as well, is they don't maintain a constant height, right? They cut away and then regain their initial height just to fit in with that character. So it goes down to, it loses basically 1 block course. So that would be 5'4" in height in this area right here, where the trees are kind of thick. And so you can see here that there's to be a new gate here. It's broken in 2 parts. This is a more detailed drawing of those 2 gates. That there's one here, which is the one that's used mainly just for passage of people. But because this is the only way into the main house, should they ever need to bring in something larger, the gate is wider, and this smaller panel can be operated if you needed to do some landscape work and you needed a bobcat or something like that. So that's why that gate is the size that it is. The design of that gate, and we'll get into some renderings of it later, is really based on a gate on the existing house, which I'll show in the slide should have come, but it's wood gates that have a wood frame with diagonal slats set into them, and they're all stained, or dark stained to match the gates on the main house. So there's this pair right here, and in the front elevation you can't see it, but there's this smaller panel which is fixed, which lies between two walls. And I'll go back to the plan for a moment. No, it's really hard to see. But right, so there's two new, like there's the perimeter wall here. Sorry for this. And then there's a small wall that really contains what will be the new entrance to the guest house. There's a small gap between them, and we're filling that in with that fixed gate. That is the intention. And then from there, that's the end of the drawings that we submitted to the city. And I'm guessing, I'm assuming you guys have those with you. And then I just prepared to augment that, a series of slides. Can you see a rendering now?
Yes.
Okay, so a series of shots from different angles so you can get a better idea of what we're talking about. So this is the shot, not quite from the street, but from the street angle. You can't see the main house because I didn't model it, but you're seeing a new wall around sort of that captures the entrance that will be to the remodeled guest house. And then this is the main gate. It's open in this particular shot. But that's the main gate. You can see here the top of the wall as it falls down. And the end of the wall is actually right behind this tree. And so we'll go to another one. This is the entrance to the guest house here. Existing, this is the existing wall to remain around the front of the guest house. Then this is a new wall. It also sort of falls down one, it starts at 6 feet, comes down to 5'4", and then it's terminated by, this, I actually don't know the word for these things, but this sort of buttress at the end, I think is the closest thing I can think of, which is an extruded similar version to the existing one here, but very typical in traditional adobe construction. There's a shot just straight at the gate itself in the open position. And then this is the one that's on the front of the drawing set. And then I think that's it. I just had, some historical references for the sort of smooth plaster that this is the Mission, if you don't recognize it, this is the Mission San Javier del Bac, south of Tucson, which has extraordinarily just exquisite stucco finish, plaster finish. And then St. Philip's, which is plaster, but I actually included this because I wanted to just point out these railings, which are rope wrapped, which is the same detail that we're using on our gate poles, is the way these are treated. Other pieces in Fort Lowell that have a similar plaster character. This is one of the neighboring houses. And that's the existing main house. But these guys right here, those two doors, those are the sort of the model that we're using for the front gates on the house. They have the same sort of diagonal wood pattern with the dark wood frame.
Can you blow that up at all?
I can zoom in. Just
Into those.
actually, I might have there's a close up of them.
Okay. And do they have handles?
No handles, just these rivets,
Okay.
which we're not doing the rivets. We are not planning on doing the rivets.
So, because there was a comment about the handles on the gate look too modern.
I
On the new
In the new
I think
gate.
these are pretty historical, in my opinion. I mean, I can find plenty of historical precedent for rope wrapped railings and handles.
Yeah, we couldn't tell from the drawing what it was, really what the proposal was. It looked just like a modern handle, a modern straight handle, right?
Can you show us the gate handle on the new door?
Well, we were here, so I just started there. I actually have a railing like that in my front yard.
gate handle on the door?
On their plans.
On your plan?
Yes, I can. I mean, I think that's about as close as I get in these drawings. So in the drawings itself, there's the detail. So I will, let's see if I can't zoom in because the zoom commands are hidden. So here, should I go in a little further? That's 100%. So here is this whole section right here is the rope wrap right here is sitting on a steel bar, much like the ones at St. Philip's. And I think, those reasons, the rope is there not for stylistic purposes. It's just steel is just too hot to touch in the summer when it's in the sun.
Yeah, Paul, I appreciate that they have this at St. Philip's, and I'm not saying this to say I don't want to use this design handle, but you do know that we are looking at what's typical to Fort Lowell, not to, we love San Javier and we love St. Philip's, but we're in Fort Lowell. And so what's being used in Fort Lowell may be very different than even as close as St. Philip's. And so just know that the precedence is for Fort Lowell.
I understand.
Okay.
And I appreciate you saying that. I'm completely sympathetic. I think maybe it goes without saying, but I want to affirm Fort Lowell is a unique thing, and we want to preserve that uniqueness, and anything that undermines that is undesirable.
Yeah, and we approved those doors that you had on the back house that you've modeled this from. We approved those doors when they did that remodel, I don't know how many years ago, 20 years ago, 30, I don't know. But so the door with this gate, I feel good about. Anybody else have any other questions about the door or the gate itself?
No. So let's go back to any other questions or comments about this part of the presentation review more? Paul?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch any of that.
Did you hear Mary Lou?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very strange. She came through crystal clear.
Okay, so are there any other questions about the presentation, or are you finished with your presentation?
That's all I have.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so you go back to the plan, to your architectural plan. A1, I think it is.
Let's see if this will work. Is that one?
Yes,
The architectural one or the landscape one?
the architecture A1.
Okay.
So, one of the things I'm confused about is the location of the new wall. Because in the drawings, and maybe it was the other, maybe it's this one. Do you see where it says existing guest house?
Yes, right here.
So just above that, is that a room in the house?
This?
Yes,
Can you see you can see my mouse.
yes.
Yeah, so the existing guest house has one parapet height currently. That's at this height. Then this room that's on the west side is slightly lower. So this is an existing part of the guest house.
Right. So in fact, the new wall is in front of the old fence.
There's this L-shaped piece, which is part of the entrance, will be part of the entrance of the guest house. That's in front.
No, what I'm saying is the existing fence.
So Paul, I think earlier when you were talking, you may have just misspoke a little bit.
Mm.
It is true that the proposed plan would move forward where the existing wood fence is. About like 10 feet or so. I don't know the exact dimensions, but you know what I'm talking
I
about.
see what you're saying. So the existing fence, the wood fence is actually back here.
Yeah, it's towards the end of that, the
I
structure
apologize. I apologize for that.
forward to have a little bit more usable space within the yard, because right now it's just kind of excessive parking space.
Okay. Because that I'm concerned about, because that obscures the house. It obscures the part of the house. And then the other concern I have is about putting an opening in that historic wall. In the old adobe wall. So did anyone check on the engineering for actually making a hole in that wall?
You're talking about in the guest house? Or
Yeah.
this wall here,
The existing wall right there. Yeah.
that one? We have not gone through engineering on this yet, but we, as part of putting the gate in, I can anticipate that we would need to have a vertical structure on either side of the gate, either a steel frame or embedded in the adobe and plastered over, that would provide vertical stability to that wall.
Okay. And my other comment about that is that it really changes from that west side facade. That entirely changes the historic fabric presentation of that house. By adding wall, you're adding a wall to the north, pretty much, more than half the length of the existing side of the house. Right. So the standards, the preservation standards say that front walls should be no more than 4 feet high. And I would say that any of those walls should be no more than 4 feet high. I know the existing wall is probably 5 feet high. I don't know. How tall is the
It's
existing?
6 feet.
6 feet.
And it steps down, right, to about 3 feet. Is that right?
Mhm.
The
That
wall
sounds
that,
about right.
so, and that's the wall that moves north to south, not the fence that goes east to west. You're talking about the
Right,
wall.
right.
Okay. And how that wall rolls up and in. And I know we talked about that wall before and its character that is a lot of it's being lost by the more sharp edges and the fabric of rebuilding it and then connecting it to something that looks very modern to me. And especially when we're looking at the streetscape, which is the historic guideline that we go by. You need to know that the historic guideline that we've been charged with is to look at how anything that happens affects the streetscape. I'm wondering, okay, if you want to gain that 10 foot of wall or 10 feet of yard, is the 4 foot wall at least doesn't obscure the view, whereas the 6 foot wall makes it so that it cannot be seen. The other thing is, I didn't see in that front wall that's going to replace the fence, so it goes east to west. There was no dip in it. It was just very straight, a straight linear wall, and very right angled when it came to the next wall, north to south, that'll go up on that driveway side. So there is a small, there is. Yeah, and I know that wall coming forward, and especially, okay, so I hit 3 things. I wanted to hit a third thing here, And that is the new, and I'm gonna call that new wall the pony wall, just to give it a name, if that's okay. It's that
I'm
new
sorry.
wall that goes, it's gonna be part of your entry. So it goes, again, it goes north to south. And that pony wall that really hides the entrance. And now it's really 10 feet forward. So I had it 10 feet back in my head, even at that entry. And now it's 10 feet forward plus whatever its length is. I think that really changes how this is going to be viewed. I like on the very front edge where you've added like that buttress on both sides. That buttress is there on the original one, just not in very good shape, but it's there. But I am concerned about the height of these walls, and I'm very concerned about the variation in all of them and the height.
Paul, sorry, Elaine, you have more to say?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Paul, I don't want to, you're really the expert here, so I don't want to steal your thunder. Did you have anything you wanted to say before I say anything?
I mean, I'm listening right now. I heard them. I heard the comments, and I'm trying to process that. I mean, there's an existing wood fence there that's 6 feet tall, and so by replacing that existing fence with something that's much more durable and much more, I think, in character with the neighborhood, I'm puzzled by that. I'll get it out there. I mean, I'm no stranger to the Secretary of Interior's guidelines, and I work with them quite a bit. And I think that the general idea that we're after, I think, is that we want to maintain the character of this property, but so I don't think there's any disagreement about that. And so I don't know if we don't do a masonry wall with stucco on it, what then do we do? And what's really eating at me is that the Secretary of Interior's guidelines to me are very clear that if you add something new, that the one thing that you do need to do is not try to emulate history, because then you run afoul that things might turn into some sort of Disneyland. And so I'm wondering what room there is for us to maneuver. If we don't want to do something modern, none of us want that, and I don't think we're proposing it. So I'm confused.
So are you're about the 4 feet, though, right? I mean, that's pretty much spelled out in the standard. That front yard walls.
Wait, I'm sorry, I heard none of that.
So frustrating. But you also agree that the interior standards call for a 4-foot wall in the front, right? No more than a 4-foot wall.
So
Maintain.
hey, Elaine, just to clarify, so the Secretary of the Interior Standards actually do not call out the 4-foot wall standard. The State Historic Preservation Office has developed a policy that if there is a wall that's over 4 feet tall, it's a solid wall that doesn't allow visibility to the house, that automatically will make it a non-contributing resource.
Right. So
It's not in the standards, it's a policy for SHPO.
okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I've seen it, but I misspoke who it belongs to. But this property, now, there are two historic houses on this property, right? One has always been obscured by a wooden fence, not always, but for quite a long time. And the other one is actually a historic asset of the multiple resource listing that they originally did, and that's the Post Trader Storehouse. And
Right.
So-
And that one would still have lower walls, as you see here in the picture.
it still has a 6-foot wall adjacent to it, right?
No, so look on the, if you're looking at the screen on your left-hand side, and you see kind of like the wave over here, that's like the existing wall right there. And it still steps down to a 4-foot wall. That is part of the existing home that exists there today. The 6-foot wall is the wall that is currently a 6-foot high brown rickety fence.
But yes, I understand. And I'm not suggesting that you keep the fence if you don't want to keep the fence. What I'm suggesting is that, well, actually, what I'm suggesting is it be pushed back to its original position instead of moving it up 10 feet. Or if you want to move it up 10 feet, it should be no more than 4 feet.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why that is?
I just think it's more compliant with the standard.
Why
Because
is
these
that?
walls, these 6 feet walls really do obscure the whole property, right?
Say that again.
The 6-foot walls obscure the property, obscure part of this property that's currently visible. And it also obscures the other historic house in the back. You have an opportunity to show that house in the back without losing any privacy.
The State Historic Preservation Office has allowed 6-foot walls in front of houses as long as there have some openings that allow visibility. So some property owners have kind of accomplished that by maybe having openings with wrought iron in them, or they have areas where it dips down to allow some visibility. I'm not designing, I'm just giving you ideas of how other people have done it. Sometimes it's the gate. The gate is open. It's got like a wrought iron visibility through it. So in those instances, they've allowed those to, because they open that idea of visibility, they've allowed them to maintain their contributing status.
So I got a quick question here. So I'm looking at I'm looking at the Google Maps street view of your home, Jill, excuse me. So basically this fence would move up and really it would only, I mean, it would really only obscure that one window that's there. Is that true? Or a door or whatever this depression is on the side of the house?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So it was something where it was maybe previously a window, but has been since stuccoed over and painted over. Yes.
Right. So is the, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to understand is, Elaine, you know, does obscuring that with a masonry wall, you know, how much does that truly contribute to the overall streetscape? That's, I mean, that's really what the change is, am I misunderstanding something?
No, I don't think so, Chris. I mean, I understand I understand what's being proposed. And that is to obscure that whole eastern side of the building, right? That is now visible. And then to take a fence and turn it into a solid wall. And it has been a fence, I understand that. I'm just suggesting that there's an opportunity to open it up to the visibility of the historic house and what's going to be a beautiful yard. And also, because it's now one parcel, I don't know how that affects, I don't know if you take the historic tax reclassification, but it may affect that because it's one parcel now. That cuts your property taxes quite a bit if you take it.
Right. Yeah, we're not currently taking advantage of that. One other thing I just wanted to make a quick point about, I believe it's Mary Ann. You were talking.
Mary Lou.
Lou, sorry. You were talking a little bit about, the walls looking a little bit less, lumpy and having that character that you're talking about. And I just want to reiterate the fact that these renderings definitely look more stiff than they would in actuality. And any contractors that we've had initial conversations with about building this wall we've really reiterated the fact that we want this to have wavy, character, lumpy character, to where it would probably have even more character than what's being potentially proposed here on this picture that you're seeing. It's just hard to, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just kind of hard to portray that within this. But I just want you to know that that is something that we absolutely intend to do.
Oh, that's a caveat that I should always open with, that when showing renderings, you have to, there's that danger that they do look so crisp because the computer doesn't do weathered and lumpy.
Right. I'm okay. I'm understanding about the wall and have a feel for what you're thinking of doing. I think that's a little bit different than this. And what about a carport? Have you thought to put in any carport? I just am curious, because I think that's, as you've said, that's where you put your cars, and that's the hardest part, I think, on this piece of property, is that the cars go right out here out front. Have you thought about carport, or is that just not even a piece of
I
it?
think it was my understanding, and maybe I read it in, the book that we were provided from the neighborhood, but I thought that a carport would be something that would not be desirable in front of the property, because we don't really have anywhere else to put it.
Is that not true? Is a carport, if done in the right way, is that something that is okay or no?
Well, carports, I mean, there are other properties where carports are approved in.
Can you
Elaine, you couldn't hear any of that.
There are carports, look at the carports on Beverly. So one of them is actually in front of a structure. The other one, it was just built. And it's just off, it's not in front of the structure. But if it's an open carport, you can even, I believe, put a carport all the way to the property line. You could place it on the far west side of the property. So a nice, so that, again, doesn't obstruct the view of the house. It's not, you're not putting it in front of the house.
But I guess I'm trying to understand like what you're trying to solve with that, so that they're just.
There was no solution. I was just wondering why
You've never done it.
you haven't done it, or why that hasn't been part of this, because I think it's a cool property. It's got, a couple of cars out there, and that seems like that 10 feet, yeah, it's not usable except for cars, and well, maybe that's where cars go. I don't know.
Before you, not to poo-poo this whole conversation about a carport,
Okay.
but the difference between your property and the properties on Beverly is your property is individually listed on the National Register. The properties that front onto Beverly are properties that are in the historic preservation zone. They're not listed on the National Register. Before you fully go down the route, if you consider that of a carport, I would recommend that you also get buy-off from the State Historic Preservation Office, and I can help you with that because that might impact your contributing status to have a carport in front of the contributing resource.
Yeah, this, what I was saying, Jody, is that it could be on the far east side of or west side of the property where there aren't any other structures.
Understood. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, I
still
agree. So I'm not disputing what you're saying.
The only concern I'd have with that too, just not to spend too much time on this, is that there are quite a few mesquite trees on that side that would.
Yeah. True, yeah. So let's go ahead. Any other comments, Chris or Carol?
No, not for me.
I'm good. I understand what they're trying to do.
Okay, so there is another comment about the wall that was made. For the whole west side stretch of wall along that driveway, that I thought it would be a great idea to vary that wall. It's a very long stretch along that driveway. And if there's a way you can vary that wall, move it around a tree, plant trees in that setback, things like that, I think it would really improve the look of it. We had another person who came forward with a big wall that they wanted to put on Craycroft, and that we had said that, but the commission also said that, is that it couldn't just be a long straight run of wall in a very varied historic zone. It needed to be kind of broken up and moved around, and also vary the heights.
Mhm.
So the only concern I would have is just since there is a pool, that there's potential for, I mean, if it's broken up.
No. What she means is like, so say how sometimes you see in neighborhoods where there's like an existing mesquite tree and they built like a wall around it.
Yeah, there's no existing mesquite trees on that side,
Right.
so we'd have to plant mesquite trees.
Yeah.
Well, another option might be, let's just say the wall is going along, goes for 25 feet or so, stops. And then maybe the wall picks up again 4 feet to the east and runs another 15 feet or so. And then the gap in between, you have something different. Maybe it's a wrought iron fence or something like that. And then it stops and picks up again in the original line. And so you can still maintain the pool enclosure, but you've changed the material and you've got a wall that, it's broken up.
It's a 5-foot pool fence, right? Is that the requirement for pool, is 5 foot?
I believe that's correct.
It's,
It's 6, Jill.
I think it's 6, but I'm not sure.
And
No,
And is that the purpose of this front wall, this wall to the south, is that it's your pool wall? So you definitely can't go back to 4.
I don't think it's 6. And I've done pool fences that are much less than 6.
Okay,
Our wall at the low end here is 5'4". And I looked it up beforehand. I think we still made code with that.
Okay.
Wait, yes, Mary Lou, one of the purposes that this wall does serve is for those coding, barrier requirements.
okay.
I know, on the east side of the property, is there a fence that will enclose the pool? I didn't see any kind of
It's
enclosure.
the Ocotillo fence on the east side.
Does that come all the way around to the front?
It goes the entire east side of the property.
But to the front of to the north side too?
No, I mean, it'll meet up with the existing. So currently the wood fence does continue briefly on the other side of the house. So the idea would be to do the same wall on that side where the existing wood fence is. So the wall would just carry on briefly for a very short period. So that, yeah, it's right up there. So that
Again, that wall is just to enclose, right?
Yeah.
So that, I would recommend that wall be pushed back as far as you can, away from the front of the house.
So not where the existing wood fence is?
I don't know where the existing wood fence is.
So
It's not shown on the plan.
No, it's not. I think it's right here. Is that seem right, Aaron?
Yeah,
No, oh, yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
it's
That is
right,
what it
because
is.
that front area is almost like a front courtyard.
Yeah.
It is right.
No, it's actually right here.
It's up a little further
It's,
because
it's
the
in front
little,
of the courtyard.
yeah, the little fence, there's that little half gate right there that you walk
Here,
behind, that's behind
Yeah.
that fence. So,
so the fence is here.
yeah,
The existing fence would meet, it does meet and would meet where the neighbor's current block wall is.
yeah, it would join right at the same place.
So how do you want to approach this as far as approval from this board?
Is there anything on the landscape plan?
Well, I asked Mike Bell, and I know Mike Bell spent time looking at, he is a landscape architect, and unfortunately, he didn't get on this call.
Well, he never got in.
He's not on the call. And this is not, I mean, this really is the approval of the wall. So would you be willing to take his comments after this meeting for landscape?
Are you asking us?
Regards to what, with
Yeah.
regards to which part?
Are you to like the landscaping that would exist to the north of the wall?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would you, would that be in reference to any landscaping changes that would exist north of the wall?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, of course. We don't intend to do anything with the landscaping anytime soon. But yeah, we could get comments after.
Yeah, like anytime soon is in the next several years, so. Yeah, plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, well, my recommendations were to keep the location of the fence or wall at its current location. To have the wall be 4 feet tall or open visibility. Vary the existing, or vary the new wall on the west, on the east side, keep saying that, on the east side, so that it's not just a straight run of a wall, 5-foot wall, 6-foot wall. And vary the height. And with some, just to give it some interest, really. And plantings. What else did we talk about?
Elaine, is this a motion that you're making?
No, I'm just trying to recap what we talked
Okay,
about so that I can get a motion.
okay.
And that and my recommendation is that the existing funky wall remain as it is. Or that you come back with some kind of solution to it not just falling down. If it's opened.
Actually, to specifically, I know it's in the renderings here. This is not actually in the current proposal. This would be part of the work done for when the guest house is remodeled. But it wouldn't make any sense to make this opening yet.
So you're not gonna address that wall, specifically that wall.
Not touching
this
it.
Plan. And
Right.
you can't go, I don't think you can go lower than 6 feet with a pool wall. You might be able to go 5'4",
I
but you
believe you
can't
can.
go to the. You can't go to the 4-foot wall for sure. Yeah, and so.
Just so you know, just so we all clear, I just Googled it. Pool walls should be a minimum 48 inches.
Right.
That's 4,
4
wait,
feet.
4
4
feet
feet.
for the pool?
Yep.
So we can either approve this, we can ask you to make modifications. And then approve, if you agree to make the modification, or we can deny it. Or you can say, let us go and fix these problems and come back. You can ask us to extend it.
For clarification, the Fort Lowell Historic Zone Advisory Board is advisory. They are making a recommendation. After this, you'll have to present at the Plans Review Subcommittee, which is a subcommittee of the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission, and they will also make a recommendation. Both of the recommendations are then forwarded to the Director of Planning and Development Services, who issues a decision letter.
Mhm. Jill, Aaron, how do you feel about moving the wall back a little bit?
I don't feel good about it just because it's just so much unused space that we could really use to.
For the added value of the view of what is now, what would be obstructed. I don't know that the value of that space is really worth the challenge here. But I mean, because I don't know, you know, is that really that big of a view that's being obstructed if we move the wall up? I don't think so. But so I don't know that that's really a great dispute, but I guess if it's gonna prevent it from moving forward, I don't know what are our options.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I would like to, so we have to respond right now, or do you guys have sort of, we've heard your comments. But is there a vote that happens, like, is there any dissent on the committee, or is there any remaining discussion to be had, or are those the comments, that's it, and we have to?
No, we can make a motion that to recommend the things that we just talked about.
Can you make the motion?
Can I make a motion?
So if we put it to motion, we'll take a vote on it.
Yeah, I'm just writing my words down.
So is that to that point? Is that the next step? So it gets moved to a motion, and then
Yeah, so I'll make a motion. Someone can second my motion. We'll take a vote.
Before we do that, this is Carol.
Go ahead.
If the original fence is 6 feet and this is just moved 10 feet forward of that, and the intent is to help it look irregular and not modern and highly polished and smooth and sleek, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Can you put it into a motion form, Carol?
What I'm saying, I think, is contrary to what Elaine is saying, but I just thought, and I don't have as big a problem with it.
Okay.
So I'm struggling with all the elements here, but So one element is is that the new wall should remain in its original location, 10 feet behind the proposed wall. Okay. That the new wall have a 4-foot height or some openings so that public view is allowed of the historic property. That the east side wall be varied in height and be irregular in placement. I'm not sure exactly how to phrase that. And that the existing historic fabric wall remain as is.
And
I think the last one is easily done because we're not proposing any changes in this submittal.
Okay, and I didn't see, I saw it in the plan, but I didn't see that it wasn't part of this plan. And then the only other question for everyone else on the board is about that pony, what Mary Lou is calling the pony wall.
Can you repeat yourself, Elaine? What Mary Lou's calling the what?
The pony wall, that
It's this
short wall.
L-shaped
that is-
wall right here.
So Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe on your plan, that's also something that would come a little bit later.
The plans show it being part of the scope of work, but it certainly doesn't have to be. It could easily, because we will be working, replanning this, working on this structure, it would also be very reasonable to make it part of that scope of work.
Can you go to one of your other, not necessarily the picture renderings? Oh yeah, there it is, I think.
This part right here. So if we didn't do this, then we would have to have some temporary enclosure between the existing guest house and where the new wall starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that was potentially one of the things that we talked about, just because when we do work on that guest house, we don't want to necessarily attach a wall to it yet at this time. We would have to, be doing like restucco and such.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be structurally tied together, although they touch, but no, they're not. We're not going to run rebar from one to the other.
So we haven't had a motion placed. And I have to tell you, in the end, my motion is different than what we've talked about here.
Go ahead.
And so I'd like to make the motion that, because I'd like to make a motion that the variations in the wall are a little more defined, and that the movement of the wall, especially along the east side, varies, so it may have some curves in it, and also has some variations in the height. I approve, and the gate is as you've presented, and I'm really not opposed to the location of the 6 foot, 10 feet forward. I understand that and feel like that it is at the new proposed placement, and that's my motion. Would anybody second it?
I'll second it, sure.
Okay. Just to clarify, you're moving that the variations in the wall are more defined. In other words, that the wall has what their finishes or lumpy earth.
Well, more lumps, or more defined up and down, where it's not just in one level plane. And I think that's what, Jill, you described.
Yeah,
And
that's
but
what
I don't see it, but that's what you described.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we want that too.
we want that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that be added to the plan. Right, variations in the wall. As far as its appearance and texture, etc., are added to the plan. That the east side wall has curves and variation in height. And that the wall, the location of the wall is
10 feet
well,
forward.
is it 10 feet or is it 8 feet or what is it? Do you know?
Well, you would maybe know from the plans.
It's as proposed.
I
I think it's as
think it's
proposed.
10 feet. But we'd have to confirm.
Yeah, I mean, I could bring up the AutoCAD drawing, and that would do it, but it would take a few minutes to do.
No, that's, I mean, if you can just estimate it,
I think it's less than 10 feet, because I think that currently the existing wood fence is not quite at the southern edge of this room right here. And
Right.
this room is small,
Yeah.
barely over 10 feet. And so, and the new wall is hitting it at about the third mark. And so I think the wall is more like 6 feet forward from the
Okay.
existing wood fence, not 10.
So it's as proposed. As proposed.
I would say this is just a small technical thing. The wall that we've been calling the east side wall is actually on the west.
sorry.
I know we're
wall.
all
You are
talking about the
exactly
same
right.
thing.
And
I
I
know we
we
are.
would need to change that in the motion. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, got it.
I know, you know.
Thank
anyway,
you.
I just wanted to make sure it was correct.
Okay, and then that this proposed additional pony wall and changes to the existing historic wall are not part of this plan. So we understand, right?
Is that right? Or is the pony wall still part of it?
My vote, Jill and Aaron, you can override me, of course. I would say let's put it in this scope. I'd rather do that than put in a temporary wall.
Okay.
But you guys have the final say.
And that the pony wall has increased variation in it as well.
Yes.
Okay,
That applies to everything new.
Oh, yeah, all the walls will have the variations. But I'm to answer your question, Paul, from my side, I agree with you. As
All
a,
right, Jill. Last chance.
Okay, I'm overruled. Yeah.
No. I'm just telling you my opinion. If you don't want it to happen now, that's fine.
If it makes sense, from like a construction plan standpoint, then I'm fine with it.
Yes. I'm confident of that.
Okay.
That it will not hinder us when it comes time to do the guest house.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So I think we got there. It stays
Can we
Elaine?
repeat
in
the
a more
motion
varied state.
one last time, just because Elaine is still difficult to hear? I think that the left-hand side of her computer speaker isn't working. I just want to make sure that we have everything correct for the minutes.
Want to add that or no?
well, let me put this.
Okay,
let me read
thanks.
it since- Okay.
All right,
So my motion is that we increase the variations with greater definition in the pony wall and in the wall that's going to be running from east to west. That the curves and variations in height are also present on the west side wall. That the wall be built in line as proposed here, which we know is in front of the existing wall. And the one thing I didn't address was niches or openings. Don't know how open you are to that. But if you look, that is something that is in the neighborhood and in the standards, so that you can keep your historic designation for both pieces of that property. But I don't feel like openings are part of my request or part of my motion.
Okay, so do we have a second on Mary Lou's motion? Is there a second?
Were you calling for a second?
I was calling for a second as she restated it.
Yes, I'll second that as Mary Lou stated that.
Okay. And let's go ahead and vote. So Carol,
Yay.
okay, Chris,
I agree with the motion.
Mary Lou,
I agree with the motion.
Elaine, no. But it passed.
And our suggestion for openings.
Okay, so I'll make a
would be in
motion
the
that,
minutes. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that there should be openings in the wall. Either openings in the gate or the wall for, this is a recommendation, right? It's all we do is recommendations. Openings in the wall for the purpose of viewing the property for historic purposes.
Elaine, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Did the other motion pass?
Yes,
Then you're done with this item. That motion is passed. You can't make another motion.
okay,
Okay.
Elaine, I'll tell you though, I'll talk to Paul after this about your guys' suggestions and see what opportunities there are there.
Yeah, we're still listening.
We understand that that's not part of the motion, but we'll take that into consideration with the plans.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Jody, and they also, we're going to suggest that Mike Bell be in touch with them about comments for the landscape since he wasn't here. But we didn't make any, we didn't make a motion or anything about landscaping tonight.
You can have, I mean, it'll be included in the minutes. Wyatt is taking minutes, and so he should include that in there, so that when it goes to PRS, we'll also recommend that we'll tell them what happened at the meeting, what the motion was, and that you strongly encouraged the property owners to speak to Mike Bell about the proposed landscaping.
Okay, so Jody, just for clarification, what I should have done is modify it, ask to modify it before we voted.
Sorry. I heard just for clarification, and then the rest of it was want.
Just for clarification, should I have asked to modify the motion to include
Yes.
the openings? Okay,
Yes,
Okay.
so before they take a vote, you can say, I'd like to make an amendment. And then you make your amendment, and if the motion maker and the seconder are agreeable to that, then they can include that into an amended motion. And then they can vote. But once the vote is done, it's a done deal.
okay. We're volunteers here, we're amateurs, so,
Thank you.
okay, thanks, you all. And we're happy to keep working with you. You may not be happy to keep working with us.
We are happy to keep working with you guys for sure.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda is 5259 East Fort Lowell.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? This is Kayla Norgord with docket 22-079. 5259 East Fort Lowell Road. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I have Lou, my drafter architect here in front of me today. He's gonna go over the questions that we had during our last meeting.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yes. Hello?
Recording in progress.
Oh,
I'm gonna fix this.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Lou Griego. I'm the architect slash drafter. And we would like to start with the review questions for the last meeting, if is that okay with you guys?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You're echoing though.
Uh-oh.
there.
Just 1 second. Okay, we're gonna do this differently. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. Actually, the questions from the last meeting are really not what we would like to see. Is what we'd like to have is a presentation of the plans that were submitted that we received on Friday.
Okay. This. You guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, we start with this aerial picture of our lot. We included an existing site conditions plans where we can appreciate the existing vegetation. Most of the vegetation that is around the existing ruins are trees that are mostly dead. So we are intending to remove them in order to try to keep the ruins. Also the trees that are along the street that they were also like mostly dead, and almost some of them are like facing like the side of the road. They're planning to be removed. So that way it would help to have a more visibility between the street towards inside of the lot. We're not proposing like any like new vegetation into the design. And if we go into that site plan, which is next to the existing site conditions, during the last meeting, there was a concern how we were able to take care about the ruins. So we're proposing a temporary fence that it will be erected during the construction, so that way the ruins will not be able to be damaged during the process of the construction. Another of the concerns that it was the material that it was proposed for the driveway. So we're just proposing a quadriminous material. Also, there is not, just to mention, there was a confusion there at the last meeting. There is not any pool. We're not proposing like any pool for this residential. And there is not any porches. There is just like the residence with this entry courtyard. Just there is we added a grading drink line, so we can see how the existing ruins to remain will be there with proposed fence during the constructions. And we also like added the way how the storm water is gonna be it's gonna be happening during like rain seasons. So as we can see, we're trying to drain the water into the landscapes so that way, but also like keeping it away from the ruins, so it will not like continue like damaging it. Also, during the ruins, around the ruins, we're like proposing like this 2% like swell. So this way the water just like runs towards the side. As it says, in order to preserve the ruins, we're just not doing like any work into it. With the ruins are gonna be like as they are. So there was another concern about like the materials. I'm sorry, like the windows. This is the floor plan. We're making a note that windows are gonna be recessed 5 inches. So we modified our drawings so we can appreciate the windows drawing. Now there seems to be recessed on floor plan. And if we go to the elevations, we made a note also where we're like saying like the windows are going to be recessed 5 inches. We are proposing a gate into one at the entrance courtyard. So in order to create our privacy, so you cannot see any of the interior of the house. And also it creates like this space and transition just from the exterior into the interior of the residence. The materials that we're proposing for these gate doors is just like steel. And so as we can see, it's just like rusted steel. The first picture of the corner is rusted steel for the material for this door at the courtyard. And for the garage, what you're proposing like rusted metal garage doors too, very similar. We saw a couple examples on the neighborhood. And there was also like a question about like that glass doors that we have, which are not going to be able to be seen from the street. I guess it was one of the concerns from the last meeting, because that's why we're proposing like this gate door. We have like 2 type of options for these like doors. It can be like 3 panel slide door, glass door, or like this French door with glass fixed panels on the sides. We have the type of like exterior like doors we have for the entry, which is aluminum clad wood entry door. And when it comes to the windows, the material that we're like proposing is just aluminum clad wood. We have like 2 type of windows. It's like aluminum clad with single window, and the others they're just like fixed. As we can see, we're located in contributor zone. This is like the development zone that we're like analyzing and taking a few samples in order to use this similar materials and keep with the same typology of the neighborhood. And there is just a little bit study of what is surrounding to our lot. As we can see, the type of like windows and it's we're trying to follow almost exactly the same type of windows. This is like the property that is and in the lot in the east side. And I'm sorry, this is the property that is in the west side. Forgot to say that. This is a view into the residence looking to the north side, and this is into the west side. If we look from the north side into the south, this is where we can appreciate the ruins. We're trying to be away from that, as well. We mentioned it early into the floor plan. This is a closer view to the ruins. And this is the property that is right in front of our lot. So we can see the predominant materials. Sorry, like the pictures are pretty pixelated, but it's corrugated metal. This is the type of materials that we're trying to follow for our gates. This is the other type of property that, but we're not like following it. We just like consider that we needed to add it because it's right in front of our lot, which I don't even think that is contributing. We also like looking into like this property that is also into the south on Lowell. We like kind of the material, how it looks like. It's very earthy, something very similar to what we're trying to do when it comes to finishing. You know, the type of windows, doors, the structures that are around. And this is probably the closest contribution history property that we look that we're looking into, that it has similar materials and style, the Sonoran Ranch style that we're trying to follow in order to keep with the technology of the neighborhood. So this is pretty much what we have.
We were just trying to really clarify the questions and concerns from the last meeting.
Well, I have a question. Does somebody else have a question?
Go ahead.
Okay. My question has to do with the trees that you're taking down. Are they reflected here someplace?
Can you put the pictures up? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are there
Echoing.
I just echo. You're taking down dead trees, and I would like to know which ones.
Yeah, let me show. I believe we heard you correct. You trees that are dead are being taken down, and then trees that are, there's some bush trees that we can get some pictures for you that would, there's, I think 3 of them, none of them are over like 6 feet tall. They're bushes. And those will be removed for the construction, the location of the house. And any other, we want as much vegetation as possible. There's not much on this land. But the trees that were being removed are dead ones. So we do have a couple pictures.
But do they, are you showing them? I'd like to know which one they are.
We're trying to find the pictures for you right now.
Thank you.
So
Elaine, when you're talking, because your iPad is on and your computer is on, there's a lot of not clear and it's got a little bit of an echo. Is there a way that you can mute one of those?
yeah.
I had them both muted. I had it muted. It's just not muting. So we're down to the iPad now.
The computer that won't listen to Elaine.
Sorry.
Thank you.
This
Those
one,
two, but these are actually almost dead now.
yeah, they're dead right now.
They're
It's
dead.
just, we took the pictures, was like during like,
You want to
Right now,
explain them? Those are the 3.
yeah, those are like the trees that we're trying to remove.
They're dead.
They're now like dead. Those pictures were taken like during like monsoon season. But like
They're not-
now, if you
They're not
drive to
dead,
the,
it's winter.
They're
They're
just,
not dead, it's winter.
Well,
Yeah.
regardless, they're on their way of dying, but regardless, you want to put the arrow for those 2?
Well, I would like to know which trees it is. Like,
That's what
I'm
we're
on
trying to show you right now.
that
That's
says
two.
A002. Do you see that? I don't know, your plan that includes a few of the trees anyway in front of the ruins. And I know you-
those are mostly like brushes.
Yeah, brush tree.
Yeah, and they're pretty dead. Like yeah, she's talking about the ones that are like surrounding into the hold on.
hey, Kaylin,
Yes.
you know, and I just want to be clear. I think you saw, I'm just looking for the information about which trees. I'm really looking for that level of specificity in this plan for what will be staying and what will be going. And I can tell you that if you feel like you don't have that.
Everything's labeled right there.
Okay, good.
and they're all going.
Each tree's labeled to be removed or not to be removed.
Okay, so tell me which ones, show me which ones are to be removed.
This one. Are you looking at?
Yep, I'm looking at your plan. Remove,
Can you see like 3 to be removed,
yep,
3 to be removed,
yep,
3 to be removed, 3
Yeah.
to be removed, and most of them are like dead already. And the reason why we're trying to remove them is to try to keep the ruins more time alive.
so there's only the 4 trees that you're, oh no, but you've got more trees down in
Yeah,
front.
this ones it's because they're dead also, and they're almost on the side of the road. So we're trying like to remove them, to clean the.
So you're looking to remove 4 trees by the ruins and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees in the front.
Yes.
I do know,
In the back.
and so yeah, I know
Any
those
tree
trees
that we
that
could-
you've identified out front are not all dead.
Yeah, and the last thing I
They're
want
not
to do
dead.
is remove
Yeah.
any tree that doesn't need to be removed by any means.
Exactly.
I love to have any kind of vegetation on the land. Some of these that just say trees, they're not necessarily trees.
They're like,
They're more bushes,
Yeah.
some of the stuff. We were just trying to get an example, be as most detailed on some of the bushes. But absolutely, I'm not cutting any tree down that is alive and doing well.
which.
Okay, okay, I get it. What's,
Like,
okay,
that's what we keep in this ones, that we're trying to keep this one, like the ones that like.
A lot of them are rotted.
Yeah.
I've cut trees for a while and I hate to get rid of vegetation, but there's particular ones that might have a little green on it still, but it's completely rotted. The inside is a danger to
Yeah.
anybody around it and the ruins. But
Yeah,
I'm not trying to.
especially
remove-
like the one that is like on the property line in front, because they're dead and they're broken and.
they're outside the property line, I think.
So I do have a comment about the ruin. We asked for some kind of a preservation plan for the ruin. And all I saw was that you intend to put bollards near it. The idea of removing these trees that are now growing within those adobe ruins will actually destroy the ruins. And I'd suggest that you consult with some kind of a preservationist on this, because we've been through it at the park and we've been through it at the commissary compound and with other adobe ruins. So by cutting the trees, you're actually creating channels for water to get under them. So it's very selective. Sometimes they're removed, sometimes they're left. Depends on where they are.
No, absolutely. I have a fantastic T-Town trim guy that does a lot of stuff for me. We can get him out there to look at
It's
it.
not a tree, it's not a tree trimmer you need. You need an adobe ruin preservationist to discuss this with.
Regarding the trees.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I talked to a couple places in town, but what kind of questions would you like us to ask this person regarding the trees?
Well, this is what we asked for in the first place, is some kind of a preservation plan for the ruin, so that whatever you clean up you do around the ruin doesn't just make it fall down. Some of that ruin that's there is actually a buttress for the historic ruin, and it's not historic. So we need to have consultation with the adobe experts about how to treat this. Some of these trees are growing, in places where they probably do need to be removed. Others, if you take the tree out of the middle of the ruin will fall down. So I'm again for a preservation plan for the adobe ruin from an expert.
To be clear, Elaine, you're looking for, so what they were going for was a protection plan to protect it during construction.
Yeah.
But are you requesting, I understand what you're requesting. We had asked them the question about the trees and how that would impact the walls. But are you also asking for them to come up with a plan? I mean, the Secretary of the Interior standards allow for ruins to be ruins.
Yeah.
But are you asking for something along the lines of like what they did opposite of Fort Lowell Park proper, where they have the 3 officers buildings, I think they are, that they put ramadas over the top of them? Are you asking for something along those lines?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
So
I'm asking for them to have consultation with an expert adobe, the same kind of people who did the consultation at the park for this ruin. What's the best way to keep this ruin alive?
to understand the impact of the tree removal and
Yes. Yes.
specifically, okay.
Yeah. And also I asked at the same time for an NPPO, Native Plant Preservation Plan.
So many times.
These trees are not dead, they're dormant. They could be easily be brought back. And they're on the road. We got federal money to plant trees on Fort Lowell Road. We certainly don't want to remove any.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, last thing I want to do is remove any trees that don't need to be removed. If
You're removing them all, except for 2.
maybe it would be best to just meet out there. You can really see which ones maybe we're talking about. We're not trying to remove any trees. My lot literally might have 3-4 trees on it. The rest of this stuff is really brush and stuff that's dead. We're only removing the 3 little ones for the structure of the house and the dead dangerous ones. Anything else we want to leave. So I mean, if we could come to a better conclusion on how to determine which ones somebody would want cut down or not cut down, we could look into that. But as far as we don't want to remove anything that doesn't need to be removed.
Okay, well then the plan needs to reflect that.
Yeah, the stuff that we show that's being removed is because they are being removed because they're dead bushes. And there's nothing actually growing out of the ruins. You know, just a big circle and it looks like it's close to the ruins, but there's only one in the back that's leaning on the ruin that's dying. It's a dead mesquite tree. The other ones are bushes just close to them. And we're open to, you know, getting to some kind of, you know, agreement on what trees to remove and not, and we just want to try to find a way to move forward, but we completely agree with the tree scenario.
Okay, can you go to the bottom of that page and expand it a bit, please? There's the note. Can you read that note?
Yeah, most of the trees around the ruins are dead. They will be carefully removed to avoid damaging to the existing ruins.
Right, so that's where, that's what I'm talking about. There, and this needs some consultation. Before doing anything to the ruins, can we get a professional person to look at them and advise? And we'll be happy to join you on site.
Whatever it takes. Yeah, we're not doing anything to the ruins besides protecting them during construction.
Okay, on this same page, gosh, I can't see. I could see better on my other computer there. We had it all blown up so we could see it. Can you move over to the right a bit, please? And again, the comment that's just adjacent, oh, the bollards. Is that just, why are there steel bollards in place?
Yeah, we're trying to prevent any like circulation close to the side of the ruins when it comes to like cars or so.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
proposing this removable steel bollards around.
Yeah,
to
it's
try to
bollards.
prevent that.
Steel bollards, like, they're about 3 feet high.
Is that poles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poles?
Yeah.
Is that is that during construction or is that a permanent placement?
We proposed because we thought you guys might want something there. So we proposing putting some sort of protection, whether it be a big rock or a pole or a wood railroad tie, just in this little 10-foot stretch area, because it is a driveway next to it to protect the ruins.
Well, also you might want to think about guest parking.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You may want to consider that for guest parking too, that you want to protect people from just driving up right to them.
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay, there's a suggestion for that you may need, we'd like you to add some kind of a pony wall that hides the front of the garage.
The front of the garage?
Yeah.
The side of the garage?
Sorry, the garage?
Yeah, the side where you drive into the garage, just.
Where would you? Put
Unfortunately, both of our architects are missing tonight, so, but we'd have someone look at this.
A pony wall, where would you propose a pony wall?
I think I have it noted somewhere.
Because you only see the side of the garage from the street.
Right. And it's really to block the garage.
You think
Just
she's?
a short wall there. Right.
Okay.
Where is it?
Let me see. So are you thinking like maybe like right in this area right here? Can you see my
Right.
arrow?
Yeah, that's right. Right there.
Yeah, that's a cool little idea. I'm open to that 100%.
Okay. If you want to move to the next page, there were some other comments.
So it's page A03.
Yeah.
The note about gravel in the driveway, is that what you're proposing is gravel,
It's called quarter minus.
which is,
Are you familiar with quarter minus?
no,
Use it for driveways all the time. Uh, they call it poor man's concrete, but it's a really fine, it's a 1/4 inch gravel, but it also has like a clay dirt in it. So it compacts really nice. It stays strong, and it doesn't have runoff even when it rains hard, and it's real dust free. So it's just it's a 1/4 minus. This is a 1/4 inch gravel with like a clay dirt in it.
gray gravel?
No, it's earth color. It literally color. It's earth color, like a brownish color.
Okay, can you put that in the plan, the color?
Yeah, there's only one color. It's brown, but you want us to add that in a comment
because
or in a note? Oh, okay, cool, no problem. We could add that, right? Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, there's on that same page, the idea of a swale around the ruin. Can you explain that?
What did you call it?
A swale, you have a swale
the
around the ruin and you have swale around the adobe walls.
Yeah, that's like 2% of it's kind of like earth. When it rains, it kind of like dries the water against the ruins. So that's just like to help them to keep them a little bit more alive, so that humidity it doesn't like eat them.
So you're actually building against the ruin, or are you recessing an area around the ruin?
Yeah, I'm resisting around it. It's not like
Have you had any expertise that tells you that should be done?
No, we were just trying to keep some of the water away from it because it seemed to be such a concern in the last meeting. But basically, we're not touching these ruins. We're going to let them continue to be ruins, but we want them to last as long as possible. But there was so much concern in the last meeting of water getting near it that sometimes adobe definitely starts to deteriorate on the bottom,
yeah.
which causes it to be an actually dangerous wall for a child around or anybody. So sometimes it's bringing up a little dirt around the outside of those ones just can help it last a little longer, but we're not touching these adobe walls. We're not proposing anything to do to these walls, but just try to protect them.
Then it shouldn't be on the plan. I mean, a swale, if you're indicating that you're gonna dig a ditch or a swale around these ruins and around the adobe wall, but now you're saying you're not.
No, maybe it's not a ditch. It's just a barrier of dirt, 6-inch barrier of dirt around it to keep it from, drowning from the water. But we can remove all that. That's no problem. We really just put that there for you guys for the last meeting. Thought it would help, to determine the water. But I think this ruin's sitting in a spot where it doesn't need really anything around it. We'll remove those. We're not touching these ruins.
Elaine, I would like to see the plan for your water drainage again. I didn't quite catch the details of what you're looking at for drainage. I think in the back of this property, there's a wall, so nothing is going to drain to the north, and nothing can drain to the northeast, or no, northwest, right? Because it's a wall.
Yes.
So there's no, so your drainage is, you're stuck with this. And I wondered about your drainage plan.
Want to try to answer that?
Well, what we're trying to do is like to just drain it in a way that is going to be open to the landscaping, like for future landscaping, like creating this kind of like runoff, storm runoff water.
Half the house was designed so half the house water drains to the west, the other half drains to the east. And so that creates flow being distributed 50-50 of this lot. and the elevation of this lot is higher in the south than it is in the north, gradually. And it's a large lot, and this house sits pretty far from the back walls. So the water comes off the house to the west and the east. So any water that's coming from our house, besides this natural rain around the rest of the yard, gets distributed evenly from side to side and away from the ruins.
Okay, and your drainage to the east, if it goes east, it
Right.
goes to your house next door.
The house
That-
next door, that is
Mhm.
like 60, it's about 150 feet away from our drainage area.
Yeah.
And so you don't currently know how the property drains, is what I'm kind of thinking.
The property drain, it distributes its water throughout from the south to the north. It's distributing its water throughout the land. And we designed it to share, to continue to do that by sharing it 50% with the west and 50% with the east. And then we have the longer run towards the north where it drains through our property as it goes to the north.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm moving up to page 6. So there are a lot of comments about this. Starting at the top, the clear story windows.
Oh, yeah. There's no precedence for the fixed, those little 4 windows over the door. There's no precedence, and that is something that would then be seen from the street. And there's no precedence for those fixed windows in the historic district.
Okay, well, adios to windows. We don't need them. I agree. If it's a concern, we can remove those. Those are just for extra light in that big living room area. So yeah, there's just some 4 picture windows, but we can remove them if that's what you're proposing.
If you go on this wall or that.
I think they would look very nice, and you know, especially being recessed like that. But
I think they look nice too. I think they look nice, but there's no precedence set for that kind of window.
I could find some. I could find you quite a few of those around the area, but
In
it's
the
okay.
historic district, in our historic district? Okay,
Picture windows. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
those 4 little windows that are above your doors.
Oh, maybe not in that uniform, but yeah. So if you're proposing them, we can remove them.
Okay,
On the detail on the 6 windows that appear in the front, we need details of that, what those windows. You said they were a 5-foot setback.
What was that?
The details of the windows on the front,
Yeah. What details would you like?
the setback. I heard that they were inset 5 inches, but I don't see that anywhere in the plans.
Oh, they're everywhere. We'll find them for your watch.
It's 5-inch set-ins, is that what? Yeah.
Recessed windows. Its verbiage is everywhere. There's pictures. Each window's recessed in 5 inches. And it's in the
Okay.
notes and it says right there, yeah.
Yeah, these plans are very hard to read because even printed out, it's very tiny. So,
Yeah, so bear with us. Okay, so
No
show me
problem.
what says that it's recessed. I mean, I just am not seeing it either. So this is a 10-inch wall?
Do you have the or the verbiage where it says it's recessed?
Yeah.
So I can just read it. Yeah. The wall is actually quite thicker. You have an 8-inch brick, then you have your stucco, and then you have it furred out on the inside for electrical. The wall's about at least 10 inches, all said and done. Correct. So the verbiage for the recessed windows, oh, you see it right there? And it's written in other places, just so you guys can see it. Windows to be recessed 5 inches.
Okay,
5 inches. Is there a sill on the window?
on the exterior. Is there an exterior sill, window sill?
Or lintel?
A window seal?
Is there a window sill or a window lintel?
Window lintel, like the ones that you put like at the top.
Oh, like the wood beam over the top?
Yeah, kind of.
No, I mean, you won't see that. There'll be a lintel in construction, correct, but you won't see it.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing on the exterior.
Yeah.
No, it's, you won't see it.
So they're just gonna be
It's gonna be structural.
little just.
Flat windows.
So would you consider some kind of lintel or sill?
What would you like to see?
Well, it's not what we like to see. It's what you'd like to propose. What you're proposing right now is that there is none.
Yeah, you know, for me, I've done some in the past and to me, it looks a lot cleaner. So I like my windows recessed and I like a nice clean, you know, historic looking adobe job, I mean stucco job, but I'm proposing no beams over my windows, no. The only thing that really would go with the historic would be a wood beam over the top of it. And it's really not practical. So I'm proposing, no, the windows are recessed without no lintel in it, no visible lintel.
Okay, can you provide a detail of the windows in the plan?
Yeah,
Also, these windows, from what I saw of those plain aluminum windows, most of the windows here have lights, have some kind of either there's 6 light windows, they're casement windows, they're double hung windows, a few double hung windows,
yeah, these are
But they're
double hung
not-
windows.
but they're not just plain. They usually have some detail that gives them some interest.
You want to go to the pictures of the windows of the neighborhood?
Yeah.
So we can see, maybe, yeah, like I understand like a grid in it. But yeah, so these are, you know, they're the thicker windows to look more like the original historics.
Those windows, that house, and we can get to this later, but you took a whole lot of shots of places that are not even in this historic zone.
This,
And other examples you gave are not appropriate. Or you gave many examples, but you didn't say what you're actually gonna do with either the surface, the window.
all these pictures are in the zone, right?
Yeah.
All these pictures that we have, these houses are in, this is how we got to that address.
They're not in the development zone. And that house in particular is under construction without a permit,
Okay.
without
Regardless,
historic
okay,
review.
yeah. I definitely think windows is a huge part of any historic neighborhood. So yeah, you know,
So let me, while you're on this shot, let me just tell you. So these pictures have lintels, right?
yeah,
And sill.
And sills. And you say that this is supporting your proposal, but you've also got pictures of other windows that are completely different. So you have to decide which one is supporting your proposal.
Okay, the first examples that we show you is the context. One of the points of this turning was like to show what is around like the side, and this is more like what we're like inspired in order to follow. So you're talking like the first windows for the first this ones. This is just like for understanding like the surrounding areas. That was one of the requirements on this package, and the last ones is the ones that we're trying to follow when it comes to materials and something that is in the side.
But these windows don't look like what you've proposed as far as their dimensions, the lintels, the sills.
Do they have to be exactly the same size?
yeah,
Is there a criteria where?
it's a very limited, you know, we're just trying to get some pictures, but let's just go back to the windows. So you're proposing that we have grid in our windows.
Have
Besides
what?
of it, just, you're proposing for us to have grid in our window.
No, what I've said is that most of the windows in this historic zone have lights. They're multiple lights. There's 6 light windows. They're either wooden or casement.
Mhm. You wanna go back
In
to
the contributing structures. This is a modern, that picture you're showing right there, was built in the 80s.
No,
It was
no,
built-
hold on, go to our windows. To
This one.
yeah, to our stuff. So, yeah, so these I use in a lot of different historic areas. This is a double hung window. The picture looks strange for sure. It's a double hung aluminum clad wood window that is very common in historic areas. If you're proposing for that window to be different, I would love to hear it, because this is pretty much what we usually would use in such a historic area, besides adding like a 6 panel, like you said, to it. But I personally prefer not to have the 6 panel. But if that's what you're proposing, we'll get it on record so we can move forward. But this is
We're
a
not
double-
proposing, no, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting you have to propose. So we're telling you what is appropriate here, right?
Yeah,
There are lots of examples, and on that development zone map, it shows you the contributing structures. But
yeah,
the pictures you have did not use any of the contributing structures. The San Pedro Chapel, yes, is a chapel, but it's a chapel. And those windows are pretty common. Those double hung windows are pretty common. But you haven't really said, here's the kind of window we're going to use.
this
You
is the
show
window.
many different windows.
This is the window we're going to use. We're showing it to you on the screen right now. That's a double hung aluminum clad wood window. That's our window we're using right there.
What color?
Black.
Okay.
And the interior.
That's what I mean by detail. We want to see the detail of the windows. You've shown lintels, you've shown sills, but in your plan, you don't show that. And then you're showing this is the picture of the window you want to use as black, which is also, you probably won't find any black windows around here. But if that's what you're proposing, then put that in your plan.
It's a bronze aluminum, and all the detail for the material colors is all in this package that was sent to you as well.
So it's not black, it's bronze.
It's bronze aluminum. It's in the details. It's a bronze aluminum window, double hung window.
And can you tell me where it is in the detail?
Where the color notice is. How would we find that?
Let's see. Maybe if we can't find it here, maybe we can propose to add it just add it for you guys for clarification, but let me see.
Canals.
Mhm. We can add that note in there under the notes for the windows, the double hung window. We could specify that it's a bronze aluminum because it's
Yeah, you need to specify color.
no problem.
Now,
And then by the design guidelines, you'll see that the window, there are suggestions in the design guidelines.
Okay.
so the canales are visible in the bottom picture here. I guess that's the west elevation. You see, I don't know if it's,
There
and
too.
on the east elevation.
Are you talking about the scuppers?
Okay, is that what they are?
Well, I'm sure there's multiple names for them. Called them scuppers my whole life. Where the rain's going to drain out, the water's going to drain out.
Scuppers.
The drain scuppers.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have
Okay.
the material for that one or no?
Yeah, it's like clad.
Yeah, the
Really detailed.
proposing, it's, like the Adobe clay. Do we have it in there? We're looking for.
You're looking for the information that describes
Yeah.
it.
It's right
Yeah,
there,
you see my dilemma is I can see the openings for it, but not the info on it.
Let's go for drain. You know, it was in the package when Michael Taku asked the material.
Yeah.
So those are going to be, we're proposing that they're going to be like a clay tube, you know, like you would see for a lot of these older ones. The Adobe style clay tubes.
Clay tubes.
I'm not sure what the clay tubes are, and I'm not sure where I've seen those. I know there are some scuppers on San Francisco, that development there, but I don't know that they are that red clay color, and I don't know what their shape is. I think that, and I'm pretty certain they are like just more like channels, so that they're like a half circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a
Yeah.
tube. So
We're open to any kind of scupper. I made some custom ones for a house I did in Barrio Viejo, and they were made out of steel, and they were just 6x6 squares with a slight angle on them. Those were great, but I'm open to any kind of scupper that, you know.
well, and Caleb, this comes back to
we
you
can
giving me
propose.
that detail, because
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, in the end, it's your presentation.
Yeah. All right. So we'll clarify in some notes and maybe some pictures, physical pictures of some scuppers that we're 100% proposing, so you can have a little more clarification on what they look like.
Okay. And I'm sorry to go back to windows again, but we're really big on windows and doors here. The dimensions of the windows, I believe they're 3x5.
I'll have to see which windows we're talking about. Let me pull up the.
Well,
Let's do
just go to the top of that page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just that side of that. Yeah, the 3050 is correct.
So there's somewhere else in here where it says that the windows have to be 44 inches above floor. And then, but these windows are 3x5. So that math didn't add up, for one thing. And then if you look at the other windows, even the windows you showed, an example, or any of the other contributing historic structures here, they're usually not standard 3x5 windows. They're 2x5, or they're 2.5 by 5. So in order to bring any kind of variety other than subdivision variety.
This is far from subdivision, but a 3050 is you have to have at least a 3050 for egress. You cannot have a 2050 in a bedroom.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
Well, but this, we're talking about, I'm mostly concerned about the front here.
Let's look at the front elevation, Louis, real quick. Okay. Yeah, so these are in bedrooms. So this house is offset with this elevation. It's not flat. I'm hoping you can read can see that, but they're not flat. So you have different protruding rooms, and these are bedrooms and rooms that are required by the city of Tucson. They need to be a minimum of a 3050 window for egress.
For every window?
Any window that goes to a room.
A living space.
Every window in a bedroom?
A living space, correct. If we have multiple windows, as long as you have at least one 3050 window in that room, so we could change, have one 3050 in a room. If you have two windows in a room, we would change another size. And I don't know how good that will look to have two different size windows in the same room. So but at least one of those windows in that room have to be a 3050 minimum.
So the window that is, as I'm looking at this, that's on the far left. So it's like the fourth window to the left of the door and the fourth window to the right of the door. Those are in a different room than the two that are right next to it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks flat when it's not, yeah, it's offset.
Not, yeah. And then what's with the windows right next to the door?
To
That,
the double
right next-
gate, the double door,
yeah, that double,
those aren't windows.
Those are openings.
Those are openings.
okay, and so that, like.
Just like you were asking the last person to do on their wall, like a nice opening to where you can see through it. That's what those are, just openings.
And, yeah, and. Okay,
Is there a detail of the front door?
Yeah.
Not the door itself, but that area?
Are you talking about the front gate door?
No, the details behind that door.
you mean the slide, that's the sliding
This is a
door.
patio. This is a
Yeah,
patio.
It's a
right?
courtyard. Yeah.
You
It's a
mean
courtyard.
the wall that is
The glass.
like here?
Yes, that one.
No, there is not like the design criteria is asking for anything that you can see from the street. So we didn't consider that we needed to include that since you cannot see it from the street.
Well, we do a complete review. We review the whole thing. We do a 360 review. And you can see it through the openings, right? And you can see it when the doors are open.
Yeah. So basically, that wall is in the plans. We don't have any of the plans. Let me
Yeah, I
see,
do.
1 second. We want as much glass as possible in there. So we had proposed in the original meeting. Okay, so there's the details right there. So you can see we have a 3-pane slider. In the last meeting, you guys were saying, maybe give us another option besides the 3 glass slider. Because, you might be able to see it if the door's open and you're driving down the street just right, and you might be able to see it. So we proposed, we gave an option of a couple different windows. So this is your 3 slider, and then this is single pane glass with the French doors. So this window or this window is going to be, where did it go? Oh, sorry. Will be inside that courtyard, 18 feet in. No, even more. So yeah, so if you can see, once that gate's open and then someone's driving on the street and you see, and that's what you'll probably see is the glass on that wall, because that's the wall. The majority of that wall is glass beside your entry door.
Also, we have the ruins in front of them.
Yeah, we also have the ruins right in front of that opening, because I wanted to be able to look out the living room, and if that gate was open or look through those the openings in that wall, you can see the ruins. So it's also, the ruins is an obstruction as well to see from the street as well. Be very difficult to
okay.
see in there from the street.
Well, if you can find another glass front door in this historic zone, then I'd consider it, but I don't think there are any.
This is Carol. In my little neighborhood, the doors are the large glass panes.
Yeah.
Some are French doors, double doors,
Where,
and front doors are single, but it's one big pane of glass.
as front doors?
Yes.
I see quite a few of them around too, and you know,
Excuse me for just 1 second. Let me ask Carol a question. Are they
sure.
single doors or are they double doors, or what kind of doors are
The
they?
front doors are single doors, but all around the house there are double doors, French doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are French doors. There are a lot of French doors in the back and on the sides, but
Yep.
I was not aware of any glass front doors. But you said they're all single.
Yeah, the ones I've seen are all single in the front. And because there are gates in front of them and other obstructions, they're not that visible from the street.
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
here.
are you familiar with the neighborhood she's talking about?
I'm pretty
Adobe
sure.
del Bosque? I'm
It's
asking.
the little street just south of the Gregory School.
I wouldn't say I'm 100% familiar.
You may want to drive over there and take a look at the way they did gates and doors.
Because I think that's what you're proposing. And
Okay.
they used real decorative gate entries for the door. So
Okay, yeah.
that did hide that door. And the gates are all tremendously interesting and yeah, but it seems like you've got that plan in place.
I appreciate that. We'll have to drive by and get some more ideas.
Mhm.
But I also think that a triple door is still extreme.
Still big.
A
Yeah.
triple glass door is not,
Yeah, so that's why we have that other option where there's single pane glass doors instead of the slider.
You don't
Which,
have any
The-
sliders.
yeah,
Those
which I understand the 3 slider right here isn't something you would see in any historic house, the one to the left. But the fact of the limitation to actually see it from the street at all, which is fine, but I'm completely open to this as well. I just want to see the beautiful outside from the living room, which no one will really see this with our between our courtyard anyways, but these French doors is what we're proposing.
again, single door, the single doors have been previously accepted, but not triple glass like that.
Yeah, no, we're past the triple glass. I forget about the triple glass. It's done. So we're proposing this option B here. That's on the screen.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the metal door, the narrative talks about a wooden gate, but this plan shows a metal gate, a solid.
Yeah. So we changed it because we're trying to give some more options, but we can clarify that too. And I would like to do what very similar to what the last people proposed. I had built one not too long ago and it came out so pretty. It was the metal framed gate with slats in it.
And theirs was wood.
Yeah,
There's-
that's it. It was a metal, it was like a metal framed construction with the wood slats in it.
Well, would you present that design?
Yeah, we'll get you a picture of that too, because what, do you don't like the metal doors or something?
No, that's just, that's gonna be very hot.
Yeah. No, I agree. So this isn't exactly by any means what we would have built. We were trying to find some pictures, but when you get to custom stuff and it's hard to find a picture that can relate to it, but we can get you a better drawing or something of the front gate. It's basically have some wood slats in it. So we can clarify that as well.
Okay, so going back to page 6, the doors, the other doors. There are 4 doors here.
Those are for the backyards.
Are you proposing to use all of those doors?
Yeah, those are the type of doors that we have
No, for the
for the
back,
backyard.
for the backyard, we only have, no, these are examples here.
No, she means like this ones.
Yeah. But we're not using all of
No.
each style, no. Yeah,
Yeah.
so where's the back of the house there?
Well, you cannot see it. That's the thing, because it's
Yeah,
the
you
interior
can't-
courtyard.
You can't see anything there. Those are from the inside.
The house has a U shape.
We're still reviewing them. I mean, we still go through a thorough review of
Yeah, no,
360.
we understand. Yeah,
So ordinarily, you would see 6-panel doors in this neighborhood.
yeah, no one, you couldn't see these doors unless you flew over the house with a helicopter, maybe you'd be able to see them, so. we're not
They're
sure.
inside, outside. What are you talking about? Inside.
Is there a particular door on the house that you may be asking about that we could clarify?
Well, we haven't seen any of the elevations of the court inside.
How would you show it elevations of the inside of the property? Usually our elevations are all exterior walls.
Yeah, I'm talking about the exterior walls of the interior of the courtyard. There's one in the front and one in the back, right?
Yes, I know what she means.
That one.
She means like this,
Mhm.
this portion.
Yeah, okay. So there's the inside of your courtyard.
That's not an elevation.
Oh, no, we're not saying that. It's like, I'm trying to explain him like what you're asking
Yeah,
for.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I didn't
we don't
know
have an
that.
elevation, right, of the
No.
side of the house.
No.
We'd like to see the elevations of the front and back courtyard.
You want us to draw up the elevation for the front courtyard?
And back courtyard.
Back courtyard.
Yeah, no, I don't know what she meant.
Okay.
And then to go back to the doors, what kind of doors are you using there?
In the courtyard?
Exterior doors. See, I can see 3 doors here. Where are those? In the south elevation, north elevation.
Yeah.
That
hold on.
is,
She's talking about this one. It's like from the little like storage.
yeah, that's a storage room.
And then you can see this one from the hallway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
So
then she can
yeah,
see like this one.
yeah. So are you kind of seeing, so I think we see what you're looking at. So this is in the far north and it just goes out the hallway to the back. And that is going to be a single glass pane window, door. So you can see outside. And then this one is just a solid, can you see the arrow? This is just a solid door. This is a utility storage room back there. And the only other door was this one, this is our front door. That's inside the courtyard. Once you walk into the courtyard, then this is your front door. And those are the glass single pane doors right here that you can open up, the French doors. And this is your front door.
Okay, can you put that in the detail, please?
Yeah, like this one.
Okay.
This is for the storage.
Yeah.
This is for the hallway.
Yeah.
And this is what you can
That's
see
the
from
glass one down the hall.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a render will help a lot for them visually.
Mhm.
Can expand it, but you can't scroll it.
On this space, the windows are, I'm looking at I'm still back here on the windows and looking at your south elevation where the windows are all the same, and then your north elevation, and even your west elevation, and those are the windows. That's what Elaine was talking about, where the windows vary. You know, they look very cool.
Oh, she meant like that.
Yeah.
And that's what she was talking about on the front elevation.
Yeah,
I'm
those
sure
are
that you know I mean,
those are bathroom windows. That's why they're smaller, you know?
okay, but that's the exterior. The front looks very symmetrical, whereas your other
yeah.
areas don't. And that's where Elaine, because I was trying to figure out a different way to do it or something that would make it look less.
They are offset, so you know some sit back further than the others. So you do have a
Yes.
lot of dimension when you're looking at the front of this place.
And you're right, you do have that they are in different rooms that
Different
aren't all
locations,
flat
yeah.
across the front, so they would
Yeah.
look like.
It's not like
different
just in one plane.
Mhm. But I was trying to figure out why that was a bother, and that's why, because
Yeah.
you've got that asymmetry somewhere else.
Jody, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can you confirm that those windows have to be 3 by 5?
I can take a note. Usually that's just for windows. For egress is
Egress.
usually only for bedrooms. But if there's a door that exits to the outside, that's typically the standard then that's the egress. Only one typically has to be egress. Not all of them have to be egress. But the size wise, I would have to get back to you on that and confirm the size.
Yeah, so the ones on the very front there, they just look so uniform. And, you know, even the other example pictures that you showed, I don't think they're not placed. I think they're placed lower, first of all. They're more like 2 feet from the ground instead of 44 inches, which is what's specified. I mean, 44 inches is almost 4 feet off the ground.
Isn't there a standard
yeah.
window needs to be?
Is it standard? And if you look.
There's standard
I don't-
measurements for where the windows need to be placed, for fire reasons.
It would be hard to egress through a window where the windowsill is 44 inches off the ground.
Yeah, that's a standard from the city.
I'll check and I can get back to you, but it won't be during this meeting. Just.
Right. That's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. I'm not sure how to progress here,
Well, let's go ahead
given
and
the
finish
time
comments.
that we are.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah, it's pretty late and we all work and we still got kids that I haven't said goodnight to, so I hope we can move forward and hopefully we can clarify some things with Jody and get some more detail for you guys. And we're really hoping here is to break ground soon, and you know, any of these other little things, details, maybe it could be a minor review during the process of, you know, starting to break ground on construction, but
You can continue the meeting. It sounds like these are minor details. You might want to, if you're amenable to a special meeting, before your next meeting, because your next meeting isn't until the end of March, like March 28th.
yeah, I am a little confused on exactly how to get to the next step from here. I really don't understand this process too much. So it's either, once we propose something that we believe's what we want and what we believe is within the guidelines, and then the people in the meeting propose something different, or they're not agreeing to it or agreeing to it, then what's the next step? Where do we go? How do we continue to move forward? I'm unclear with the process.
Galen, they have to make a motion. Their
Uh-huh.
motion could be to continue it because they have a number of questions that they still would like you to resolve. They could recommend approval with conditions, to say you need to X, Y, and Z. They could deny it. It's their prerogative at this point.
Okay, so yeah, this.
Now, but ours is a recommendation, Jody, because he could move forward with the next step with our recommendations, regardless of what they are. Is that true?
If you provide a recommendation to approve it or approve it with conditions or deny it, then he would move forward to the plans review subcommittee. If you continue it, then he stays with you for another meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I have several other things on the list here where the narrative doesn't match the plan, and I'm not exactly sure what to do with those. Plus, the examples that were given are of non-contributing properties or not in this zone. And then the pictures that were provided of, like, the entry door, for example, there's a picture of an aluminum clad entry door that doesn't appear to be used. So how do you want to clarify these issues?
Yeah, well, what's your first issue?
Well, I think that the issue is I'm thinking that I'm not ready myself to make a motion that would include anything other than denial or continuation of this plan as it is. With a denial, you still can move forward to the next level, Jody said, to the
Commission.
To the commission. With the recommendation to continue, then we set up another meeting to continue this discussion.
If you move forward with a denial, PRS, they look to the advisory board's recommendation, and will take that strongly into account. So I would not recommend moving forward with the denial.
Okay,
It's your prerogative, but I would not recommend moving forward with the denial.
okay. So Kaylin, I would like to,
Well, I'd like to go through these things because these are gonna have to be addressed for the next one,
before we even meet again.
before we continue.
Even if we continue.
Yes, and I can do it pretty quickly.
Okay,
It's the narrative statement of proposal, first of all. The document, do you have that, Lou?
Yes.
Sorry to continue, but
It's
I don't
okay.
want to continue.
Oh, that was the old one. I don't know why they. That's,
I'm not-
Is that what they gave them?
yeah, this was the first one we submitted the first time. This one is.
So if this is not the correct one, is that what you're saying?
This is the correct one.
So this one talks, see setbacks, prevailing setbacks.
Mhm. Yes.
It says that there's an average of 20 feet. The setbacks are 20 feet, an average of 20 feet.
Yes.
Somewhere else it says it's gonna be between 7 and. Let me see.
Along Ninth, well, it's on Ninth Avenue. This
Yeah,
really
that's
isn't
not
even about,
our
this is even
project.
about our project.
Yeah, the plans have been approved about 4 months ago. We're all within our setbacks. If
Yeah.
that's the question.
No, what I'm saying is these setbacks refer to Ninth Avenue,
9th Avenue.
Where's Ninth Avenue?
right in second sentence under setbacks.
You guys are wrong.
Oh yeah, that was a mistake.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Nice eye. That was another house. So yeah, we changed that, but the setbacks are exactly the same, but we can. fix
And
that.
it says that,
It's like
and
for Lowell. It should be saying like for Lowell. That was a mistake.
We don't know what you're.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay,
yeah.
the
Ninth
rhythm-
Avenue needs to be changed to Forlow. That was a mistake right there.
Right, okay, so rhythm, the next paragraph, it refers to contributing historic properties across, or houses across the street. There are no historic houses across the street. Combination with a southern building, I didn't know, this rhythm thing here, I don't understand. So if you would just clarify that. Window, reflecting typical Santa Fe style. And then under proportion, refers to West Fort Lowell Road. Under landscaping, we want details about, we need to, this thing about the trees has got to be resolved by an expert.
The thing about the trees needs to be resolved by an expert.
Yeah, it says, this one says, a couple mesquites around the existing ruins remain with some young trees and older trees. But in fact, everything on the plan says they're being removed.
All right, well, we're gonna eliminate that and we won't touch any trees around the ruins. I'm not trying to confine by any means a professional
okay.
tree adobe person that I could find, but we'll just remove that we're touching any trees around the adobe. And that'll just
Well,
solve that.
And I remain concerned about the trees on the front. I know you have to, I think you have to take out a tree for the driveway.
No,
for sure. I'm just about positive.
And that's
but-
not, and
No,
that's
I
actually in the right of way.
Yeah.
And it-
that one that's already tipped over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so
I don't
we'll have to clarify better pictures of the trees and which ones we're not removing and which ones we are removing.
You're also crossing the right of way. Do you have something from the city of Tucson that says that that's where your driveway can go?
We're crossing the right of way.
You're crossing the right of way on with your driveway, you are crossing, I don't know, a lot of right of way.
But I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, the easement between the road and the property line is very broad. And so I don't know what trees you can take out if they're on city property. I don't know. I'm not telling you you can or cannot. I haven't.
Yeah,
done it yet.
there's no trees in front of our lot that's on the city property. Any trees that are there are
Sure.
within our survey.
No,
That's true.
that's not true. I don't think so. But
Okay, well, you guys clarify. I mean, I don't know what to tell you ladies at this point. I mean, we're not trying to cut down any trees. Our driveway, I'm not sure what you meant, but it's crossing a right of way.
okay, it's that easement that,
But it's not an easement. Let me
What
explain to you.
easement?
Your parcel, in front of your parcel,
Yeah,
half of
this
your
is an easement.
parcel is actually adjacent to a big chunk of Fort Lowell Road right away. It's owned by the city of Tucson.
House would we get into the driveway?
Yeah.
So by putting your driveway right against the easternmost property boundary, you're crossing a right of way. That's also part of a plan that I won't go into, but
This is where
Uh,
like the
the city
car
may have
is.
concerns about where you place
When
that
they
driveway.
split when they split when they split the load, this is where like that. Okay, so we're proposing like that driveway that way because this is where like the entrance of the cod is already existent.
It's the existing entrance to our lot.
So the only one tree that we're proposing to remove that it will be affecting is this one. Yeah.
okay, did you have something else?
I do have
Elaine?
something else, and that refers to these pictures. If this is your historic support proposal, then all of these non-historic, non-contributing properties that you're using as examples shouldn't be in it. Or if you say, we're gonna use this triple French door, then that's what you put instead of giving many examples of many doors. And windows, I mean, you gave examples of historic, a couple of historic property windows, but you didn't give any details on your own windows.
Okay.
So you need to go back to the, I can tell you, if I knew what page these were. Go ahead and scroll down to where you start the pictures of Fort Lowell residents, historic review. That first picture is the neighboring property. It is not in the historic zone.
Got it.
Both of those. The next page, not in the historic zone. Next page, that's the one next door, if I can see it right. That's adjacent. Keep scrolling. Not in the historic zone. And not contributing to all of those. San Pedro Chapel is in the historic zone, but it's a church. If you're going to use that kind of window, then you can't say we're supporting that with this window when you're not using that window.
Okay.
Used these examples as textures, but there are 4 different textures that you're showing.
All right, you want some specification?
No, I want the things that are not in the historic zone to be removed.
Okay.
Or if you're using it as an example, this is an example of window we want to use, then say, but it's not in the historic zone, right?
Okay.
So I think we need a motion to continue. Is that what you're asking, to continue? Kalen,
What? I'm sorry, what's that?
are you asking that we continue this review?
Like if you want to continue.
You continue right now?
No, to continue instead of making a decision about approval or denial.
If you want, if you guys feel confident that with specifying removing those houses that were not in contributing and, fix those details. But in reality, everything we're proposing for our house, besides some of the stuff that you're seeing that isn't, we're proposing what we're proposing. I'm willing to make some changes, but we're proposing what we're proposing.
So you would like us to vote tonight on this proposal, or you would like to continue to address some of these final issues?
I think we might have, let's see if we can get this done next. Let's try to move forward and try to listen to the proposals that you guys have. And so let's try one more meeting, I guess, if that's what it takes.
So to continue to another meeting, and we can do it as a special meeting. It doesn't have to wait a month.
Okay, that would be great. So maybe I believe we understand some of the concerns again, and we'll really clarify exactly what we're doing, and then we'll try to get that set up with Jody for that special meeting on this one.
Jody, do you need a motion for that?
Yes, you will need to provide a motion. And it would be really helpful for Wyatt, who's taking the minutes, for you to be clear on what you want as part of the continuation.
Okay, well, let me go for it, and then somebody can second what I say, and Wyatt's such a good note taker, he can catch it, right? Sorry this is going on so long. Okay, I move that this project be continued to another meeting, and it can be a special meeting. That there is consultation with a preservation architect or an Adobe expert about the Adobe ruins, especially the proposals to remove the trees and to build swales around Adobe. That's what this plan says. Number 2 is that the details should be provided about the windows, including the colors, that they are recessed with some kind of example of that. We need elevations of the front courtyard and the back courtyard. That the door will be detailed. The front door is going to be detailed, as it's not a triple slider or triple glass door. It's a single door. The detail of the front gate is needed. And the pictures need to align with what is actually proposed, not several options of what could be proposed. That the examples align with examples and contributing properties in the Fort Lowell Preservation Zone. And that if other examples are used, they be called out as not in this preservation zone. And then all the pictures of the things that are just like, 60s houses across the street be removed. We need details of scuppers and the color of the driveway. What else?
The pony wall. Wasn't there a driveway pony wall?
Oh, yeah, and the addition of a small wall to shield the view of the garage, large garage.
Upper windows.
Eliminate the clear story windows. Okay, anything else? Any other comments from anyone else?
Did you want the elevations of all facades? Did I miss that one?
Yeah, that was and those are the courtyards, described as the courtyards, yeah. Inside the courtyards. And that there's no pool, right? Plan.
Elaine, did you get the true height of the window off the grade?
Yeah, and that was something to be clarified, is the size and height of the window. I don't think that's a 3x5 window. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, and a vote for Chris,
I vote to continue.
Carol,
I agree.
Mary Lou,
I agree.
Elaine, I agree. Okay, final, and thank you, Kellen. Thank you, Lou. I think we're just
Thank
need
you.
to finish one last thing here.
And Jody will set the date.
No, they have to come back with the revision before she can.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the last thing? Would anybody like to approve the minutes of October 25th?
I approve the minutes of October 25th.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? No.
No.
Okay, and then the discussion about the historic inventory. Jody, can we continue that to the next meeting?
Yes, we can continue
you.
to the next one.
Okay. Okay, well, anything else we need to cover here? Otherwise, I think we're adjourned. I hope. Sorry, it was such a difficult meeting for technology.
I do have one additional update, Elaine. I did send you an email yesterday as well as to Jan Mulder. I don't know if you received that email or not, just because I have been having issues sending those. We do have a minor review for a solar project in Fort Lowell that's ready for review. I'm just curious if there's anyone that's available to volunteer for that review.
What day? Is it specific?
I had proposed either Thursday or Friday, if that works.
I can do Friday.
Okay, I just need to hear from Jan and then I can touch base.
Okay. And I need to get you Mike Bell's new email. I still can't find
Okay.
it. No, I have it.
He sent me an email during the meeting, so I sent him the calendar, mebellboomboom@gmail.com.
That's it.
Sorry.
Gosh.
So I did send him the calendar invite, so he's got the series now.
Okay. And then I don't know if this is on the agenda, but David Pietz's nomination still hasn't been cleared by the clerk.
We can keep that under staff updates. I have pestered the clerk a number of times, and I'll pester them again, but they're pretty non-responsive to me. I think they're just a little overwhelmed.
Well,
Right.
he's to the point where he's saying, if I'm not going to be confirmed, I shouldn't attend the meetings. So
Yeah,
we need to push, and because I really need him.
yeah, I will push again and see what's what. But I short of slapping their hands, I'm kind of a little
Should I
bit,
call my council person?
Maybe.
you know what? That's probably not a bad idea.
That's a good idea. Okay, good. I motion that the meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, me too.
At 9:52.
God.
Thank you. Anybody, all in favor?
Yeah, meeting's adjourned.
Aye.
All in aye. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.